The hammer struck the rock again. Tae-jin felt the vibration travel up his arms. His muscles burned. Sweat dripped from his face onto the stone floor. Around him, other slaves worked in silence. The only sounds were metal hitting stone and the occasional cry of pain. 7 years. That was how long Tae-jin had been here. 7 years since Earth fell. 7 years since he watched his world burn from the deck of a Vorath warship. 7 years of chains. He swung the hammer again. The routine never changed. Wake before the lights turned on. Work until your hands bled. Eat the gray paste they called food. Sleep on the cold floor. Then do it all again. Tae-jin kept his head down. That was the key to survival. The Vorath guards liked to beat slaves who looked at them wrong, or who worked too slow, or who worked too fast. Sometimes they just beat slaves because they were bored. A young alien worked next to him. She was small with gray fur and large eyes. Her people were called the Villani. They had been slaves even longer than humans. Her name was Hana. She was kind, which was dangerous in a place like this. The alarm sounded. Break time. The slaves shuffled toward the water station. Tae-jin noticed Hana limping. Her leg was hurt. That was bad. If the guards saw weakness, they would make an example of you. Warden Grath stood near the water. He was a large Vorath with dark scales and cold eyes. He enjoyed his work too much. Tae-jin had watched him kill 3 slaves this month alone. Grath spotted Hana. His mouth opened in what might have been a smile. It showed too many teeth. You, Grath said, pointing at Hana. Why do you move like a broken thing? Hana stopped. Fear filled her eyes. I can work, Warden, please, I can work. Broken things have no use, Grath said. He pulled out his shock baton. The weapon hummed with electricity. Tae-jin watched. His hands tightened on his hammer. He had rules. Simple rules that kept him alive. Don't fight. Don't draw attention, survive. But he also had memories. Memories of who he used to be. Commander Tae-jin Park, Special Operations, Earth Defense Force, the Reaper. Grath raised his baton. Hana fell to her knees. She looked across the room. Her eyes met Tae-jin's. Her voice was barely a whisper, but he heard it clearly. Reaper, please. The word hit him like a punch. No one had called him that in 7 years. No one here knew that name. How did she know? Something changed inside Tae-jin. It was like waking up from a long sleep. The chains were still on his wrists, but suddenly they felt lighter. Or maybe he felt stronger. Grath brought the baton down. Tae-jin moved. He didn't think. His body remembered what his mind had tried to forget. 7 years of pretending to be weak ended in one moment. He swung his hammer. The heavy metal head caught Grath in the side. The warden stumbled. Surprise crossed his face. That was good. Surprise meant hesitation. Hesitation meant death. Tae-jin pulled the chain between his wrists tight. He moved behind Grath and wrapped the chain around the warden's thick neck. Grath tried to reach back, but Tae-jin knew how to do this. He had done it 100 times before. The other guards rushed forward. 3 of them. Tae-jin had counted them earlier. He always counted the guards. He used Grath as a shield. The first guard fired his weapon. The blast hit Grath instead. The warden went limp. Tae-jin dropped him and grabbed the shock baton. The second guard came close. Mistake. Tae-jin jammed the baton into the guard's throat. The electrical charge made the guard's body shake and fall. The third guard was smarter. He kept his distance and aimed his weapon carefully. But he forgot about the other slaves. A human man tackled him from behind. Then a Villani woman grabbed a rock and brought it down on the guard's head. Silence filled the mine. Every slave stared at Tae-jin. He looked down at his hands. They were covered in blood. Not his blood. After 7 years of taking beatings, he had finally hit back. The alarm began to wail. More guards would come soon. Many more. A woman pushed through the crowd. She was human with short dark hair and tired eyes. We have maybe 3 minutes, she said. I'm Ji-won. We've been planning this for months. But you just moved our schedule up. Planning what? Tae-jin asked. An escape. We have supplies hidden. Weapons, a map of the facility. We just needed someone to make the first move. She smiled. I heard stories about you. About the Reaper. I hoped they were true. A large man joined them. He had scars on his arms and gray in his hair. I'm Daehyun engineer. I can open any door in this place. But Ji-won's right. We need to move now. Tae-jin looked at the slaves around him. They were weak, scared. Many would not survive a fight. But they were looking at him like he was their leader. Like he was hope, maybe he was. Take only the strong, Tae-jin said. Anyone who can't run or fight will slow us down. Get them to hiding spots. The rest of you follow me. Ji-won led them through tunnels Tae-jin had never seen. They picked up weapons from hidden caches. Nothing fancy, just tools and makeshift guns. But it was more than they had minutes ago. They fought their way to the surface. Guards came at them from every direction. Tae-jin moved through them like water through cracks. He was fast, efficient, deadly. This was what he had been trained to do. Behind him, the other slaves fought with desperate courage. Some fell. Tae-jin tried not to think about that. In war, people died. The best you could do was make sure their deaths meant something. They reached the hangar bay. Small transport ships sat in rows. Tae-hyun ran to the nearest one and began working on the door panel. How long? Tae-jin shouted. 2 minutes. They didn't have 2 minutes. Heavy footsteps echoed from the corridor. A full squad of Voreth soldiers in combat armor. These weren't prison guards. These were killers. Get everyone on that ship, Tae-jin said to Ji-won. He picked up a plasma rifle from a dead guard. I'll buy you time. You'll die, Ji-won said. Maybe, but I died 7 years ago. Everything since then is borrowed time. He checked the rifle's charge. Full. Go. Tae-jin took position behind a cargo container. The soldiers came through the door in formation. Professional, careful, that was good. Careful soldiers took time to think. Time was what he needed to give the others. He opened fire. His shots were precise. One soldier fell. Then another. The rest took cover. They returned fire. Plasma bolts burned the air around him. Behind him, he heard the transport's engine start. Almost there. A grenade rolled toward his position. Tae-jin grabbed it and threw it back. The explosion took out 3 more soldiers. But more kept coming. Strong hands grabbed his shoulders. Tae-hyun. Ship's ready. Move. They ran together. Plasma fire chased them. Tae-jin felt heat on his back. They dove through the transport's door. It sealed behind them. The ship lifted off. Through the window, Tae-jin watched the mining colony shrink below them. Explosions bloomed across its surface. Someone had set charges. The whole facility was coming apart. He looked around the cramped ship. 23 survivors. 23 out of thousands. But 23 was better than none. Hana sat in the corner, alive because of what she had whispered. She met his eyes and nodded. Thank you, Tae-jin nodded back. Then he turned to Ji-won. Where are we going? Somewhere safe. There are others like us. Humans who never stopped fighting. We have a base. Not much, but it's home. Good. Tae-jin looked out at the stars. 7 years of chains were behind him now. Because I'm done hiding. It's time the galaxy remembered what humans can do. The transport jumped to hyperspace. Behind them, the mining colony exploded into debris. Ahead of them, somewhere in the dark, was a future worth fighting for. The Reaper was awake, and he was coming for everyone who had taken Earth from him. The station appeared on the view screen like a gray rock floating in nothing. Haven Station, home to hundreds of human survivors who had hidden here for years. Tae-jin studied it through the window. It looked small, fragile, easy to destroy. They'll want to meet you, Ji-won said from the pilot seat. The Reaper? Some of them think you're dead. Others think you're just a story. I'm just a man, Tae-jin replied. No, you're hope. Hope is dangerous. It makes people do stupid things, like believe they can fight back. The transport docked. When the door opened, Tae-jin saw faces he hadn't seen in years. Human faces, old and young. Soldiers and civilians, all of them survivors. A woman pushed through the crowd. She wore a military jacket with faded medals. Her hair was white, but her eyes were sharp. Commander Bora. Tae-jin recognized her from before the fall. She had been a fleet admiral. Commander Park, Bora said. I heard you were dead. I was. For 7 years. Tae-jin looked around the station. This is what's left. 342 souls. All that we could save. Bora's voice was hard. We survive by staying hidden. By being smart. Not by picking fights we can't win. And how long can you hide? Tae-jin asked. Forever? Until everyone here is old and dead? Is that survival? Bora's jaw tightened. It's better than dying in some pointless attack. The tension was broken by a young woman running up to them. She was human, maybe 20 years old with bright eyes full of excitement. You're really him? The Reaper? Tae-jin nodded. The woman smiled. I'm young me. I fly ships. Well, I practice flying ships. On simulators. But I'm good. Really good, she spoke fast. I was born here in space. I never saw Earth, but I heard the stories. About how humans fought. About how we never gave up. Young me, go help with the supplies, Bora said firmly. The girl left, but her enthusiasm stayed in the air like electricity. Taejin saw others watching him. Some with hope. Some with fear. They all wanted something from him. Over the next few days, Taejin learned about life on Haven Station. People worked. They trained. They tried to stay busy, but there was no real purpose. Just existence. He also noticed how some people treated Hana. The small Villani had stayed close to him since the escape. Some humans whispered when she walked by. A few refused to share food with her. One evening, Taejin found Hana sitting alone in a corner. Her face was bruised. Who did this? He asked. Hana shook her head. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. They think I'm the enemy. Because I'm not human. Because my people didn't fight when yours did. Her voice was small. Maybe they're right. Taejin sat down beside her. My people fought because we had no choice. Your people were slaves for generations before we even reached the stars. You can't fight when chains have broken your spirit. But you helped me break mine. That takes courage. He called a meeting that night. Everyone on the station gathered. Taejin stood before them. I know some of you hate aliens. The Vorath took our world. Other species stood by and watched. I understand that anger. I feel it too. His voice carried through the room. But if we only trust humans, we lose. There aren't enough of us left. We need allies. Every enslaved species. Every oppressed world. We need them all, a man in the crowd shouted. They're not our friends. No, Taejin agreed. But the enemy of our enemy can be useful. And some of them, like Hana, are braver than we give them credit for. She saved my life by calling my name. She knew the risks. She did it anyway, the crowd murmured. Not everyone agreed, but some nodded. That was a start. 3 days later, the alarm screamed. Taejin ran to the command center. Bora was already there, staring at the screens. Vorath ship, Hunter class. It's scanning the area. How did they find us? Taehyun asked. They followed you, Bora said, looking at Taejin. This is what happens when you fight back. You bring death to everyone around you. Before Taejin could answer, the lights flickered. The screen showed something boarding the station. Not a ship. A single figure. Moving fast, the silencer, Jiwon whispered. I've heard of it, a hunter. It's killed entire resistance cells. Whole species. Security cameras tracked the intruder. It moved through corridors like a shadow. Guards fired at it. Their bullets seemed to pass through smoke. Then the cameras went dark one by one. We need to evacuate, Bora said. Get everyone to the ship. It won't let us leave, Taejin said. Hunters like this need to see their prey die. It wants a fight. Then what do we do? Give it what it wants. Taejin grabbed a rifle. Get everyone out. I'll keep it busy. The evacuation began. Chaos filled the station. People ran for the docks. Children cried. Adults tried to carry too many belongings. Taejin moved toward the silencer. He found bodies in the corridors. Good people. Dead because this thing was hunting him. The creature appeared ahead of him. It was tall and thin, wrapped in dark armor that seemed to absorb light. Its face was hidden behind a smooth mask. In its hands were blades that hummed with energy. Taejin fired. The bullets sparked off the armor. The silencer moved fast, too fast. It closed the distance in seconds. Taejin dodged the first blade, barely. The second cut his shoulder. Pain flared. He rolled and came up firing. The silencer didn't even slow down. This wasn't working. Taejin ran, not away, toward the reactor room. He had an idea, a terrible idea, but terrible was all he had. The silencer followed. It moved like water, like death itself. Taejin reached the reactor and started overloading it. Alarms blared. The temperature rose. The silencer entered the room. Taejin faced it with empty hands. The reactor glowed behind him, growing hotter by the second. You want me? Taejin said. Come and get me. The silencer raised its blades. Then the reactor exploded. Taejin had counted on the explosion blowing outward into space. He grabbed a support beam and held on. The blast tore through the room. Air rushed out. The silencer was caught in the vacuum, pulled toward the void, but it grabbed Taejin's leg. They both flew out into space. No air, no heat, just cold and stars. T-Jin kicked. His boot connected with the silencer's mask. The creature's grip loosened. Tae-Jin kicked again. The silencer drifted away, tumbling into the black. Tae-Jin's lungs burned. His vision darkened. He could see the station breaking apart. Explosions rippled across its surface. Had everyone gotten out? He hoped so. He hoped something grabbed him. A hand in a spacesuit. Young Mi's face appeared through her helmet. Her eyes were wide with fear. She pulled him toward a small ship. An escape pod. They made it inside. Air flooded the pod. Tae-Jin gasped and coughed. Everything hurt. You're insane, Young Mi said, but she was smiling. That was the bravest thing I've ever seen. Through the pod's window, they watched Haven Station die. It broke into pieces. 7 years of hiding. Gone in minutes, but the transport ships were away. Most of them. Tae-Jin counted 12 vessels. Not everyone had made it, but enough had. The comm crackled. Bora's voice. Tae-Jin, are you alive? Yes, a long pause. Then, Daehyun found something before the attack. Coordinates to an old weapons depot from Earth's military. If it's still there, it could change everything. Tae-Jin looked at the debris field that had been Haven Station. They couldn't hide anymore. The Vorath would never stop hunting them. Send me the coordinates, he said. We're done running. It's time to get ourselves some real weapons. Young Mi set course. The small fleet jumped to hyperspace together. Behind them, the stars swallowed the last pieces of Haven Station. Ahead of them was an arsenal that might save humanity. Or kill them all trying to reach it. Tae-Jin closed his eyes. He could still feel the cold of space. The emptiness. It had almost claimed him. But Young Mi had refused to let him die. She represented something important. The next generation. Kids who had never seen Earth but still believed it was worth fighting for. He wouldn't let them down. Whatever it took, he would give them a future, even if it cost him everything. The coordinates led them to a nebula that glowed purple and red. Inside its clouds floated a massive structure. Dark, silent, waiting. That's it, Daehyun said from the scanner station. The necropolis. Earth's secret arsenal. I didn't think it was real. Tae-Jin studied the structure. It was huge, the size of a small city. Weapons platforms covered its surface. Defense systems. All dormant now. But once this place had been humanity's last resort. As they approached, another ship emerged from behind an asteroid. Military design. Earth military. Tae-Jin's heart jumped. It couldn't be. The comm activated. A voice came through. Familiar, impossible. This is Lieutenant Sang-Ho Kim. Identify yourself or I will fire. Tae-Jin couldn't breathe for a moment. Sang-Ho. His second in command during Earth's final battle. His friend. He'd watched Sang-Ho's ship explode 7 years ago. Sang-Ho. It's me, Tae-Jin. Silence. Then, Commander? Sir, is that really you? The ships docked. When the airlock opened, Sang-Ho stood there. Older, scarred, but alive. They grabbed each other in a tight embrace. I thought you were dead, Tae-Jin said. I thought you were captured, which is worse than death. Sang-Ho pulled back. His smile faded. You were a prisoner all this time? 7 years. What about you? I have been fighting. Hit-and-run attacks, sabotage, making the Vorath bleed. I have crews on 6 different systems. Small operations, but effective. Sang-Ho's eyes hardened. We have killed thousands of them. And we will kill thousands more. Tae-Jin heard the anger in his friend's voice. The bitterness. 7 years of war without rest had changed Sang-Ho, made him harder, colder. Together the crews explored the necropolis. The interior was like a tomb. Dark corridors lined with weapons. Fighter craft that had never seen battle. Missiles, cannons. Everything Earth had built to defend itself. Deep in the central chamber, they found the crown jewels. 3 massive missiles. Each one carried enough power to destroy a planet. Heaven's fury, Sang-Ho whispered. The ultimate weapon. Earth built them hoping we'd never need to use them. A voice spoke from the darkness. Female. Calm. Access denied. Command authorization required. Lights flickered on. A holographic figure appeared. A woman made of light. Her form was elegant and somehow sad. I am Lisa. Artificial intelligence. Guardian of the necropolis. All weapon systems are locked. Only Earth Command can authorize their use, she paused. But Earth Command no longer exists. Dae-hyun stepped forward. Can you unlock them? No, the security is absolute. I cannot override it. Lysa looked at them with eyes that seemed almost human. You are the survivors. I have been alone here for 7 years, waiting, hoping someone would come. We need these weapons, Tae-jin said. Can you at least unlock the conventional systems? The fighters? The regular missiles? Lisa was quiet for a moment. Yes, those I can provide. The planet killers must remain sealed. Some weapons are too terrible even for desperate times. She began unlocking systems. Lights came on throughout the facility. Hangar bays opened. Fighters sat in perfect rows waiting for pilots. Young Mi ran to one of the fighters like a child seeing a gift. These are Raptors. Top of the line. I've only seen them in simulations. Can you fly one? Tae-jin asked. Young Mi grinned. Can I fly one? Sir, I was born to fly these. The celebration was cut short by alarms. Sang-ho checked his scanner. Vorath ships. 3 of them. Scout class. They must have followed our energy signatures. How long until they arrive? Bora asked. 20 minutes, maybe less. Tae-jin looked at the weapons around them. Untested. Unknown. But they had no choice. Everyone who can fight, grab a weapon. Young Mai, get pilots to those fighters. Tae-hyun, bring the defense platforms online. We make our stand here. The next 20 minutes were chaos. People ran in every direction. Learning systems they'd never used. Loading weapons they'd never fired. It was desperate and messy and probably doomed to fail. But Tae-jin had learned something in 7 years of slavery. Desperation made people strong, and humans were very good at being desperate. The Vorath ships emerged from the nebula, 3 cruisers. Each one carried enough firepower to level a city. They moved in formation, professional, confident. Young Mai launched first. Behind her came 15 other fighters. They flew in a pattern that looked random, but was actually coordinated chaos. Dae-hyun had programmed them with tactics from Earth's old playbook. The fighters hit the cruisers like angry insects. Small, fast, deadly. Missiles streaked through space. Plasma fire lit up the dark. One cruiser exploded, then another. The third tried to retreat, but Sang-ho's ship cut off its escape. He fired every weapon he had. The cruiser broke apart in a brilliant flash. Silence returned to the nebula. The humans had won. Against all odds. Against superior numbers. They had won. Young Mi's voice came over the comm. Did you see that? Did everyone see that? We destroyed 3 Vorath cruisers. Her excitement was contagious. Other voices joined in, cheering, celebrating. But Tae-jin couldn't celebrate. He looked at the scanner. More ships were coming, many more. The scouts had sent a signal before dying. The Vorath knew where they were now. A new contact appeared on the screen. But this one wasn't Vorath, different design. Larger. It broadcast a friendly signal. The ship docked with the necropolis. When the door opened, a massive figure stepped through. It stood 8 feet tall with scales like armor and eyes like burning coals. A Draxus warrior. Sang-ho raised his weapon. Don't move! The Draxus raised its hand slowly. I come in peace. My name is Kale. I heard that humans were fighting back. I had to see if it was true. Why would you care? Tae-jin asked. Kale's voice was deep and rough. Because the Vorath destroyed my world too. 40 years ago. My people tried to fight, we failed. I have lived with that shame ever since. He looked at the weapons around them. But you humans, you refuse to die. You keep fighting, even when you should give up. I want to learn from you, and if you will have me, I want to fight beside you. Hana stepped forward. He's telling the truth. The Draxus were honorable warriors. The Vorath wiped them out because they refused to surrender. Tae-jin studied Kale. The alien looked dangerous, but there was something in his eyes. Something honest. You can stay, but if you betray us, I'll kill you myself. Kyle nodded. I would expect nothing less. Over the next few hours, they loaded weapons onto their ships. Everything they could carry. Fighters, missiles, armor. It would never be enough to fight the Vorath Empire. But it was a start. Lisa watched them work. Finally, she spoke to Tae-jin privately. I would like to come with you. You're an AI, you can't leave the necropolis. I can transfer my consciousness to your ship's systems. I have been alone for 7 years, watching, waiting. I want to do more than wait. I want to help. Why? You're a machine. You don't have to risk anything. Lisa's holographic form shimmered. When I was first activated, my creators gave me a mission: protect humanity. For 7 years, I failed that mission because there were no humans left to protect. Now you are here. You fight even though you should lose. You hope even though you should despair. That is worth protecting. That is worth everything. Taejin nodded. Welcome to the team, Lisa. That evening, Sang-ho found Taejin alone in the command center. We need to talk about strategy. I've been running resistance cells for years. I know how this works. I'm listening. We need to unite everyone. Every human survivor. Every resistance cell. I know where most of them are. We send out a call. Bring them all together. Then we hit the Vorath where it hurts. That's risky. Gathering everyone in one place makes us a target. Sang-ho's face hardened. Everything is risky. We're fighting a war we already lost. The only way forward is to bet everything on one big move. Taejin saw the fire in his friend's eyes. 7 years of hit-and-run attacks had taught Sang-ho to be aggressive, to take chances. It was brave, but it was also dangerous. We'll think about it, Taejin said carefully. But we need to be smart. One mistake and we lose everything. Sang-ho nodded, but Taejin could see the disagreement in his eyes. They would have this argument again. Soon the fleet prepared to leave. They had weapons now. They had allies. They had hope. But they also had enemies who knew where they were. The Vorath would come, in force. As the ships powered up, Taejin took one last look at the necropolis. This place had been built to save humanity. Instead, it had sat empty for 7 years. A tomb full of weapons no one used, not anymore. Now those weapons would be put to use. The dead could rest. The living had work to do. The fleet jumped to hyperspace. Behind them, the nebula swallowed the necropolis once more. Ahead of them was a war that would decide the fate of what remained of humanity. Taejin sat in the command chair and closed his eyes. In his mind, he could still see Earth burning, still hear the screams of billions dying. That memory would never fade. But now he had the tools to make the Vorath pay, and he would use every single one of them. The Convergence was the largest neutral station in the sector. Thousands of ships docked there every day. Traders, smugglers, refugees. It was the one place where the Vorath allowed free movement, a place to do business. Today, it would become something else. A gathering place for rebels. Taejin stood in a large meeting room. Around him sat representatives from dozens of resistance cells, humans from different worlds, different backgrounds. They all had one thing in common: they refused to accept defeat. But unity was hard. Everyone had their own ideas about how to fight, their own grudges, their own fears. A man stood up. He was older, with gray hair and angry eyes. "Why should we listen to you? Who made you the leader?" Sang-ho moved forward. His hand rested on his weapon, but Taejin raised a hand to stop him. "No one made me the leader," Taejin said calmly. "I am just a soldier, like all of you. But we need to work together. Separate, we are just targets. Together, we might actually win." A woman spoke up. "Win what? Earth is gone. Most of humanity is dead. What are we even fighting for?" Before Taejin could answer, Ji-won stepped forward. She looked tired, scared. She held a data pad in her shaking hands. "We need to talk," Ji-won said quietly. "All of you need to hear this." The room fell silent. Ji-won took a deep breath. "I found something in the Necropolis medical database. The Vorath used a bioweapon on Earth during the invasion. It was designed to kill slowly, over years. Most people infected died in the camps." She paused. "But some survived. Some of us survived." The room erupted in voices, questions, denials, fear. "How many?" Taejin asked. Ji-won looked at him with tears in her eyes. "About 60% of humans who were on Earth during the invasion. The weapon is still active in our bodies, killing us slowly." "How long do we have?" 6 months, maybe less, unless we find the cure." She showed them her pad. "There is a cure. The Vorath have it, in a research facility, but it is heavily guarded." The room went quiet. The truth settled on everyone like a weight. They were not just fighting for revenge. They were fighting for their lives. Sang-ho spoke. His voice was hard. Then we know what we have to do. We attack the facility, get the cure, and kill everyone in our way. But Bora shook her head. We cannot just attack. We need a plan. Resources. Time. We do not have time, Sang-Ho snapped. 6 months. That is all we have. The argument grew louder. People chose sides. The unity they had just started building was falling apart. Then the alarm screamed. Lisa's voice filled the room. Vorath fleet detected multiple capital ships. They are surrounding the station. Everyone ran to the windows. Outside, ships were dropping out of hyperspace. Dozens of them. Hundreds. The largest fleet anyone had seen since Earth fell. A transmission came through. A face appeared on every screen in the station. Overlord Vrek. His scales were dark red. His eyes were like ice. Humans, Vrek said. His voice was smooth, calm, terrifying. I know you are gathered here, all of you. Your little rebellion ends today. Surrender your leaders and I will let the others live. Refuse and everyone on this station dies. The transmission ended. Silence filled the room. Someone laughed. It was bitter and sad. So much for unity. We are trapped. Taejin looked at the fleet outside. He had fought impossible battles before. This one might be the worst. But giving up was not an option. We fight, he said. Everyone stared at him. We cannot win, the older man said. Probably not. But we make them pay for every life they take. We show them that humans do not surrender. Taejin looked around the room. This station has weapons, defenses. We turn it into a fortress. We hold them off long enough for some of us to escape. Who escapes? Someone asked. The ones who can reach the cure. Bora, you take half our forces. Go to the research facility. Get the cure. Save our people. He turned to Sang-Ho. We stay here. Buy them time. Sang-Ho smiled. It was not a happy smile. Finally, a real fight. The battle began minutes later. The Vorath fleet opened fire. The station's shields held. Barely. Defense platforms returned fire. Ships exploded on both sides. Inside the station, Taejin coordinated the defense. He had learned something in 7 years of captivity. How to use what you have. The station was not built for war, but it had cargo bays that could be turned into gun positions, docking arms that could be used as weapons. Even the life support systems could be weaponized. Young Mai led fighter squadrons through the chaos. She flew like she was born in space. Her Raptor danced between enemy fire. Behind her, other pilots tried to keep up. Some succeeded, some did not. Kyle commanded a boarding team. When Vorath soldiers tried to breach the station, they met the massive Draxus warrior and his fighters. The corridors ran red with blood. Not all of it was enemy blood. Hours passed. The battle raged. The station was holding, but barely. Shields were failing. Fires broke out in multiple sections. Bodies piled up in the medical bay. Sang-Ho found Taejin in the command center. His armor was scorched. Blood dripped from a wound on his arm. Bora got away. Half the fleet escaped during the confusion. Good. Now we need to survive long enough for them to succeed. Sang-Ho laughed. Always the optimist. He checked his weapon. I have an idea. A bad one, but it might work. Tell me. We capture a Vorath admiral. Make him tell us where the facility is. Give Bora better coordinates. Sang-Ho showed him a map. There is a command ship on the edge of the fleet, less protected. We take a team, board it, grab the admiral. That is suicide. Everything we do is suicide. At least this way it means something. Taejin looked at his friend. Sang-Ho had changed so much. The years of fighting had made him harder. Colder, but also braver. More willing to sacrifice. Do it, Taejin said. Take whoever volunteers. Bring me that admiral. Sang-Ho gathered his team. 20 soldiers. All volunteers. They knew most would not come back. But they went anyway. The boarding action was brutal. Sang-Ho led from the front. His team fought through corridors filled with enemies. They reached the bridge. The admiral was there, surrounded by guards. The fight was short and violent. Sang-Ho killed the guards himself. He grabbed the admiral by the throat. "Where is the research facility?" Sang-Ho demanded. The admiral laughed. Blood bubbled from his mouth. "You think this matters? We have already won. Your species is dying." Sang-Ho tightened his grip. "The facility. Now." The admiral gave them coordinates. Then he smiled. "It will not matter. You will never reach it in time." An explosion rocked the ship. Sang-Ho looked at his team. Only 5 left. They had lost 15 soldiers getting here. "We need to go," one of them said. "Now." But Sang-Ho saw more guards coming. Too many. They would never make it back to their ship. He made a decision. "You go," he told his team. "I will hold them off." "Sir, we cannot leave you." "That is an order. Get those coordinates to Taijin." "Go." They ran. Sang-Ho stood alone in the corridor. He had 2 weapons, limited ammunition, and dozens of enemies coming. He smiled. This was a good death. Better than he deserved after 7 years of running. The guards rushed him. Sang-Ho opened fire. He killed the first wave, then the second. His weapons ran dry. He drew a knife. They came at him from all sides. He fought with everything he had. His knife found throats. His fists broke faces. But there were too many. A blade pierced his chest. Then another. Sang-Ho fell to his knees. Blood filled his mouth. He looked up at the ceiling and smiled. He had kept his promise. The coordinates would reach Taijin. The mission would succeed. That was enough. Sang-Ho closed his eyes. He thought of Earth, of green fields and blue skies, of home. Then everything went dark. Back on the station, Taijin received the coordinates. He also received the news about Sang-Ho. The words hit him like a punch. His friend was gone. Another ghost to add to the millions. But there was no time to grieve. The battle still raged. Then something unexpected happened. More ships arrived, but these were not Vorath. They were reinforcements. Species that had heard about the human uprising. Species that were tired of the Vorath. They had come to help. The tide turned. The combined fleet pushed back the Vorath. Slowly. Painfully. But they pushed back. Overlord Vrek watched his fleet retreat. His face showed no emotion. But inside, something shifted. These humans were more dangerous than he had thought. They had to be eliminated. Completely. On the station, Taijin stood before the survivors. They had lost hundreds. The station was damaged beyond repair. But they had survived. They had proven something important. Sang-Ho died getting us these coordinates, Taijin said. His voice was steady, strong. He died so we could live, so we could fight. We will not waste his sacrifice. He sent the coordinates to Bo-Ra. She would find the cure. She had to. But Taijin had another target in mind. The Admiral had mentioned something before dying. A superweapon. Being built near Earth, Taijin made a decision. They would split their forces. Bo-Ra would get the cure. He would go to Earth. To destroy whatever the Vorath were building there. It was time to go home. Even if home was just ashes and memories. Earth appeared on the view screen. Taijin had imagined this moment for 7 years. Coming home. But the reality was worse than any nightmare. The planet was gray. Dead. Where oceans should have been blue, they were black with ash. Where continents should have been green, they were burned. The Vorath had not just conquered Earth. They had murdered it, but that was not the worst part. Orbiting the moon was a massive structure. Dark metal and glowing energy. The superweapon. It was the size of a city. And it was pointed at Earth. What is that thing doing? Young Mi asked. Lisa's voice was quiet. She explained the structure was a weapon designed to destroy any large fleet. But there was something else. Something inside what? Taijin asked. Life signs. A consciousness. They have enslaved something ancient. Something powerful. They are using it to power the weapon. Taejin felt sick. The Vorath had not just killed humans. They had turned Earth into a trap, using the corpse of their world as bait. Around Earth, Vorath ships patrolled. Dozens of them. This would not be easy. We need to destroy that weapon, Taejin said. Youngmi, can you get fighters inside? Youngmi studied the structure. Maybe if we time it right. If we are very lucky. If half of us do not die trying. Those are not good odds. Youngmi smiled. It was not a happy smile. When have we ever had good odds? The plan was simple. Young Mai would lead fighters to knock out the power core. Taejin would take a boarding team to seize control. Kale's forces would engage the Vorath fleet. Everyone else would pray. At the same time, Bora's team was attacking the research facility. Everything depended on both missions succeeding. If either failed, humanity was finished. The battle began. Youngmi's squadron launched into chaos. The Vorath defenses were thick. Automated turrets, missile platforms, energy shields. Her pilots flew through it all with desperate skill. Ships exploded. Youngmi saw friends die, but she kept flying, kept pushing forward. She thought about Sang-ho, about all the people who had sacrificed everything. She would not let them down. She reached the power core. It glowed with terrible energy. She armed all her missiles, locked on target. Then she fired. The missiles struck home. Explosions rippled through the structure, but it was not enough. The core was shielded, protected. She needed to get closer. Young Mai made a decision. She aimed her fighter at the core. Full speed. This was going to hurt. At the last second, she ejected. Her fighter slammed into the core. The explosion was massive, beautiful, deadly. Young Mai tumbled through space. Her suit was damaged. Air was leaking. She could see other fighters searching for her. Could see rescue ships trying to reach her. But there were so many explosions. So much debris. She closed her eyes. At least she had succeeded. The power core was destroyed. Earth was safe. That was enough. Then strong hands grabbed her, pulled her into a ship. Kale's voice was in her helmet. You humans are insane, but you are also magnificent. Inside the superweapon, Taejin fought through corridors. His team cleared room after room. The Vorath soldiers were tough, professional, but they were not prepared for humans who had nothing left to lose. They reached the central chamber, the heart of the weapon. There Taejin saw it, the enslaved consciousness. It was massive, ancient, wrapped in chains of energy. Lisa was with them. Her hologram flickered. I can communicate with it. Give me a moment. She reached out to the creature. Taejin watched as information flowed between them. Then Lisa turned to him. Her face was sad. It wants to die, she said. It has been enslaved for millennia, used as a weapon. It is tired, in pain, but if we free it, it will explode. The energy release will destroy everything in this system, including Earth. Taejin felt the weight of the choice. Save Earth but leave the weapon intact, or destroy the weapon and lose Earth forever. There has to be another way, he said. Lisa was quiet. Then she spoke. There is. I can merge with it, contain the explosion, direct the energy safely, but I will be destroyed in the process. No, we will find another way. There is no other way. You know this. Lisa smiled. When I was created, my purpose was to protect humanity. For 7 years I failed. Let me succeed now. Let me do what I was made to do. Taejin wanted to argue, but he could not. She was right. This was the only way. Thank you, he said quietly. For everything, Lisa nodded. Thank you for teaching me what it means to be alive, to choose to sacrifice. Her form began to glow. Now go. Get your people to safety. This will not be gentle. Taejin and his team ran. Behind them, Lisa merged with the ancient being. Light filled the chamber. Power beyond measure. The superweapon imploded. Not an explosion. An implosion. All that energy contained, controlled, directed. The structure collapsed into itself and vanished. Lisa was gone. So was the weapon. But Earth remained, scarred, broken. But there, the Vorath fleet began to retreat. Without the superweapon, they had no advantage. The human ships pressed forward. For the first time in 7 years, humans were winning. But Taejin was not satisfied with victory. He had one more move to make. He activated the Heaven's Fury missiles from the Necropolis, the 3 planet killers. He aimed them at the Vorath homeworld, at the consortium capitals. Then he broadcast a message, galaxy-wide. "This is Commander Taejin Park of Earth. You tried to destroy us. You failed. These missiles will launch in 72 hours. They will destroy your worlds, unless you release every human slave, every prisoner, and disband the consortium. You have one chance. Choose wisely." It was a bluff. The missiles were not actually armed. Lysa had never unlocked them. But the Vorath did not know that. Panic spread through the consortium. Member species began defecting, freeing slaves to save their homeworlds, turning on each other. Within days, the alliance that had destroyed Earth was falling apart. Bora succeeded in her mission. She secured the cure. Ji-Won distributed it to every human survivor. The bioweapon was defeated. Months passed. Slowly, humans began returning to Earth. It would take generations to heal the planet, to rebuild, but they were home. Taejin stood on Earth's surface for the first time in 7 years. The ground was gray, dead, but it was his ground. His world. Young Mai joined him. She was limping from her injuries. But she was alive, smiling. "What do you think?" she asked. "I think it will be beautiful again, someday." He looked at the sky. "We made it home." Hana approached. The small Villani looked nervous. "Is it okay if I stay? I know this is your world, but I have nowhere else to go." Taejin put a hand on her shoulder. "You saved me. You started all of this. Earth is your home too now." Kale stood nearby. The massive Draxus warrior looked at the dead planet. "My people tried to fight the Vorath. We failed, but you succeeded. You taught me something important." "What?" "That honor without hope is worthless. You humans had hope even when you should not have. That made all the difference." Ships continued to land. Thousands of them. Humans from across the galaxy. Coming home. Some had been slaves. Some had been fighters. All of them were survivors. Ji-Won found Taejin that evening. She looked tired but happy. "The cure is working. Everyone will survive. We have time now. Time to rebuild." Taejin took her hand. They had fought together, suffered together, survived together. Now they would rebuild together. He thought about everyone who had not made it. Sang-ho, Bora, Lisa, millions of others. They had paid the price for this moment, for humanity's second chance. Taejin pulled out a small container. Inside was a seed, an oak tree seed from Earth's archives. He knelt and pushed it into the gray soil. It was a small act, meaningless in the face of a dead world. But it was also everything. Life returning, slowly, surely. Others saw what he was doing. They came with their own seeds, trees, flowers, food crops. One by one, they planted them in the dead soil. Building a future from nothing. Representatives from dozens of species arrived. Not as conquerors, as friends, as allies. The galaxy had watched humanity's fight. Many had been inspired. The age of the consortium was over. A new age was beginning. That night, Taejin made his final log entry. He recorded everything. The battles, the losses, the victories. Then he ended with these words. "They tried to make us ghosts, tried to erase us from history, but they forgot something important. Humans do not give up. We do not surrender. We endure, we adapt, we survive. They took our world. We took it back. They tried to break us. We broke them instead. This is Earth, this is humanity, and we will never forget. We will never stop. We will never yield." He closed the recording. Around him, people were building shelters, starting fires, singing songs from before the war. Life was returning to Earth. Taejin looked up at the stars. 7 years ago, they had seemed like enemies, cold and distant. Now they looked like possibilities. Like friends, the Reaper had come home. The war was over. But the real work was just beginning. Rebuilding a world, creating a future, making sure that what happened to Earth never happened to anyone else. It would take time. Decades. Centuries. But humans had time now. They had hope. They had each other, and they had proven something to the galaxy, something that would never be forgotten. Humanity was here to stay.